Alrighty, we are back with episode, I don't even remember what number.
1 million.
1 millionth episode of the EKG miniseries. I do not remember the number, but I do know we're going to be talking about heart blocks today.
And we actually recorded this once before on July 4th, but I did not know yet that I had COVID and was a miserable soul, so we're redoing it.
And I did not get COVID.
Yes, but he did try to lie to me and say that he had a runny nose, but it was from chicken wings.
First off, we're going to go into first degree heart block. You see these all the time, pre-hospital.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so this would be like the PRI, the PR interval is greater than 0.2 or greater than 200, however you calculate that for yourself. But it doesn't, this is just where I would say and we have a picture to show you, that the electrical current takes a seat for a minute.
Delayed.
Just takes a little breather before it finishes. There's nothing really clinically relevant about this.
I often miss these a lot of time. I usually, during transport, I'm like, oh, first degree. And then I'll ask them, be like, do you have a history of that? And they're like, yeah, doctor said
Your doctor actually, your patient actually tells you they have a history of that?
Sometimes.
I don't believe you.
Sometimes.
Not one bit.
Sometimes.
So, I mean, not a lot to say there, right? There's some pictures.
Don't go off of that one just yet. Let's look at this one right here. This one right here, often termed the Winky block.
Yeah, so this is the second degree AV block, type 1.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, what happens? The interval gets longer, drop.
Longer drop. Now I have a Winky block.
Right. I think that's interesting. This is actually not the one that's... It is clinically relevant, but it tends not to degrade, right, into a third degree, etc. Like it's type 2. But here's the interesting thing about it. This is like a prediction, right? Like you can see it drop, like longer, drop, longer, drop. I suppose why the type 2 is worse is that there is no warning.
What's the reason for the drop, though? I mean, like, why are the ventricles just not wanting to act right?
I mean, I think the impulse gets delayed. That it's just, it can't go forward to produce the next complex.
Like, okay, yep, makes sense. And let's look at this one right here. This is going to be our second degree AV block, Movitz type 2.
Yeah.
Often be able to remember this by rhythm identification as same drop.
Right. With that man didn't even give you a warning. He didn't even break up with you.
Nope.
He just pieced out. Right? It wasn't like the first type 2 where they're like, you have an argument, you're not getting along, you're this, and then you break up.
Started on the bed,
right.
Moved to the couch, now I'm outside the front lawn.
Right. This one was like deuces. He didn't even give you no warning.
Is this interesting, though, right here? Is AV block at the level of bundle of his or a bilateral bundle branch or trifascicular? What does that mean? Anything?
Well, I think it just means it can be at any of those and it'll produce the same result. Like it's just not gonna it's going along fine and then it literally must be blocked at all, either at the very beginning or all of those if it's lower down in order to create a drop beat. Has to.
And right here, moving on right here, this is my fam right here. Let's look at this bad boy. Third degree heart block. After you've been married for so long.
I so was going to use that example.
After you've been married for so long, you just kind of do your own thing.
You do your own thing, and sometimes you connect, and sometimes you don't.
You just do your own thing.
Right.
It's not healthy, and God love my wife. She's a wonderful lady, and I really miss those newlywed type things. But life happens, and we end up doing kind of our own thing, especially when you add some kids in there.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, or 400 animals like you have at your house.
Yeah, you love my animals. Anything you want to talk about with this right here?
Well, this is what they think the second degree type 2 can degrade into this. And then, of course, this is unstable, right? I mean, this is not sustainable long term, although we've gotten people that we've picked up that are 27 beats a minute and probably have been away for the longest time. I actually had a man at an outlying hospital that came in so many times with this rhythm with syncope that he didn't want a pacemaker because he was worried about the cost of it. Bless his heart. He was 88.
One thing I do, I think I remember you telling me that story. One thing I do want to add pre-hospital with this type of stuff, with these higher degree heart blocks, like second and third degree, the effects of atropine
No.
really just not going to work.
You should just use epi.
Yeah, or transcutaneous pacing when
Sure, if they're really symptomatic.
Yeah. So you like epi?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Atropine doesn't work on a couple things. It doesn't work on a third-degree heart block, really.
No.
And it doesn't work on a heart transplant patient either.
It's interesting too to see, this conduction right here. It's a good spot of it, and I'll kind of circle that as we're going back through the video to see if maybe I can just show how that conduction ends up winding its way down into the bundle branches.
Sometimes people have a hard time picking out these different types of rhythms, and I think if you look at it and you realize that P waves are going right along, and there's no complex for every single P wave, there's just these random complexes, you're more or less can consider it a third degree.
How many patients do you see in the ED that with a third degree they're just completely asymptomatic?
There are
Happen
some.
quite a bit?
Yeah, there are some.
Okay.
Usually it's like they've been feeling winded for a while.
Right.
Or they're weak, tired, that kind of thing.
But you do just have them that just are walkie-talkie just
That
fine.
man, he didn't want that pacemaker. He was worried about the cost of it. I was like, sir, I think your insurance is going to cover that pacemaker.
Well, that's interesting. So that is our 3 heart blocks that we're going to kind of discuss. When we come back, we'll finish this up.
Yeah, Mike wanted to make sure I speak loud enough on here, so he also is making me do this for the second time, so I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day because he didn't record my volume the first time.
Well, I didn't have the microphone turned on.
So
I'm looking at what we're doing next time.
Right. So here's the SA node on this lovely drawing right here. It's going to travel, its impulse is going to travel down to the AV node. Now, we just talked about AV blocks, so we were talking about that spot right there. But right now, we're talking about that left bundle versus right bundle thing. So let's talk about the right bundle, and the right bundle block would be right there. Okay, so let's just say like there's a stop sign here. Homeboy's like, you can't pass. Okay, remember that? Do you remember Indiana Jones?
Yeah, so what happens to the conduction?
Excuse me, I'm having a moment.
Okay.
Come back to me.
Yeah.
Do you remember Indiana Jones?
I do. I was actually in Indiana Jones at Disney World as a volunteer.
That is actually not surprising to me at all. But do you remember how like you couldn't pass? Okay. And he had to guess the spell out name of Jehovah. Do you remember all this?
No.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to relapse.
I was just in the play.
Just stop. Anyway, so let's just say you can't pass that way. Well, the impulse is going to continue down the left side, go up like it normally does, and also go across and polarize this side. See that?
Yes, ma'am.
And it can go kind of out like that energy. And so you get a different kind of look. This would be the right bundle branch. So if you were looking at V1, you would see like 2 impulses, right? They'd almost be delayed. They'd be delayed.
You see that M, like
Right.
William Morrow.
Yeah. Right, like William Morrow. And then if you were at V6, you would see it delayed also, but the way it comes out would look different.
You see like a W,
Right.
like the last letter in Morrow.
Okay. So now, I don't know how to erase all this on its own, so we'll start here. All right, so if we did the left bundle, it would start the same, go down here, it'd get down here, and like let's just say the left bundle is blocked. So it would continue down the right side, up and across, and then go across this way. And
Draw the arrows. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And so then you get something that looks like so. Like if you were at V1, there would be an impulse first and then a delayed impulse this way. If you were in V6, in other words, over here where you'd expect it to be heading towards you, you would see 2 delayed, like that.
Your typical left bundle branch block, appropriate discordance. So we don't call STEMI in the field with them. So we gotta use our Scarbosa.
Those are criteria.
It's in the wild card.
It is in the wild card episode. All right, that's it for now, kids. Thank you so much.
Yep, I made you redo it.